Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Paralect Venture Studio no-code and low-code webinar. Today, my name is John, and thank you for joining us, no matter where you are in the world. Good morning or good evening. Today, my guests are going to be Artyom Kukarenko, who is a software developer at Paralect, and Andrew Orsich, the co-founder and technical product manager at Paralect. And we're going to talk about 5 no-code or low-code tools that we like to use in our products and in our MVPs, and also talk about 2 projects that we use those tools on to launch more quickly and really make the products as good as they can be at a lower cost for the founders. So to start off, if you have any questions about each of the tools that we go over, feel free to send them into the chat as we're talking about them. And also, if you are working with some no-code tools and you would like us to discuss them, we will have some time at the end of the show. Let us know what you're working with, what you're trying to learn, what you've been successful with using in the no-code or low-code realm, and we'd love to talk about it with you. So, guys, can we start off a little bit with our background with no-code and low-code tools? When did we start using them? You're both engineers, so obviously you know how to code. Why do you love these tools for building products?
Thank you, John. And thank you everyone for joining and listening to us. Um, I think I'll start from one fact, one thing that's is really important for me, and I think for many other founders. There is one statement that building business is hard, and whenever you build a business, you often should make a lot of experiments because your initial idea is always evolving into something different often. So you have to change decisions, pitches, and things before you find the final way your product works. And also find a message to your users. And with no-code tools, you could kind of shorten this time. You could build things quicker. You could build things yourself. So you could start off from some, evening project, use, some tools to build landing page and do a few more things. And so I think for me, key is that you can really boost your business with no code tools. And even if you do know how to code like me, often you would find no code and low code tools perform better than actual coding.
All right.
Yeah,
Artyom, do you have anything to add to that?
yeah. A couple words from my side. Yeah, I I was working as a software developer for 7 years, and right now I'm a part of research and development department in Paralect. And right now we are trying to find new ways or idea validating and fast delivery. So, and we decided that no code and low code will be a great approach for that. Yeah, and today I'm here to share with you some our experience. Yeah,
Awesome.
that's it.
All right, let's dive into our agenda for tonight. First up, we're going to talk about 5 tools: Webflow, Airtable, Retool, Supabase, and Zapier, and 2 projects that we built with those tools: CoinFlix and Novella. So we'll start with Webflow. Those of you who are watching, if you've used Webflow before, want to use Webflow, have questions about it, please let us know. And let's get into it.
Yeah.
So tell us
yeah.
about Webflow.
Thank you, John. I'll start here. I think Webflow got a really massive adoption at Paralect maybe 3 years ago. Before the Webflow, developers used to build landing sites, and that was really expensive. That took a lot of time because developers don't like to change a little tiny thing. And when you build landing site, you run multiple experiments with a copy, you do A/B tests, you make adjustments to improve what landing site's supposed to do, conversion rate. And that's when Webflow come into play. So you can use Webflow to build a landing site without developers. So, and that's how we started to do this. So our 2 versions or 3 versions ago, Paralect.com was built by Dima, CEO of the company, and then we had another version. And finally, we started to use Webflow. And with Webflow, our design team and marketing team could launch new pages and build and make adjustments very quickly. So without a need to even talk to developers. So this is the real power of Webflow. And we have one example of our client who we worked with this year. So in 2022, Lighthouse app, it's an app which allow you to rent. It's our friends who built an app which allow you to rent the apartment and receive cashback. So if you're looking for apartments in US, so you might give it a try. Very good experience. And I think at summer of this year, so they used to have the landing site built in Next.js, which is development framework. And the speed of change was really slow, because to make a change, you need to create a task for developers, you need to plan this task, because there's a bunch of serious work happening on the product. And we decided to rebuild the entire landing site into Webflow. So I think it took us like a week or maybe a little bit over the week to rebuild the site in Webflow. We just made one-on-one copy and then replaced all landing site with a new site. And from there, so it happened in June, July of this year. From there, so they made, I don't know, maybe 10 different experiments and greatly improved the conversion of their landing site. So that's the Webflow. So to sum up, I would recommend, to the businesses to stop using custom code to build landing sites, and use either Webflow, or if you're running in like smaller business and don't have designers, so you might use alternatives such as Tilda, Software Card. There is also one we didn't mention, but we use, it's called SuperSaw. It's allow you to make a website for hosting your Notion pages. We use it for a growing products blog. And there is one, I saw a tweet from CTO of Paralect Igor. He's building a landing site which would allow you to launch a landing in one day. So it's little promotion, but you may follow Igor on Twitter and see how it goes. Yeah. So that's it, I think.
All right. Next up is Airtable.
Yeah, let's move on to the Airtable. Yeah, Airtable can be used as a primary database in your startup, or it can be a good alternative to Google Sheet. So I will start with a small demo. Let me share my screen. Yeah, is everything okay? This is my screen?
Yep.
Yeah, thank you. So this is the interface of Airtable. So Airtable has a lot of data types. Yeah, you can manage your data right in the browser. For example, we can change the size of the t-shirt. The data in this database is related to our startup summer programming courses. These courses are Paralect creates the courses and gather new programmers annually. Yeah. So as you see, it's really efficient to change the data. You can create a new additional field, for example, attachment field. And let's name it, for example, avatar. And you can easily upload and attach new documents to database. And you will see this data right in the browser. Sorry, I have some problems with connection. Yeah, here you will see the student's avatar. Yeah, moreover, you can visualize your data in different ways. For example, you can create a great dashboard with Airtable. You just select your database and select the fields that participate in the dashboard. Yeah, for example, you can create the dashboard which tell us how many students applied and how many students have higher education, and we can see the pie chart of the t-shirt sizes. Yeah. Besides, Airtable provides a lot of automations. For example, you can send an email when the new record was added to the Airtable. And finally, Airtable provides a great API. You can easily connect Airtable database to your backend server. Yeah, that's it about Airtable. Yeah, and yeah, 1 second, I will finish my screen share. And yeah, Airtable has some alternative. You still can use Google Sheets. It's cheaper than Airtable, but yeah, as I said, Airtable has more data types than Google Sheets. You can try Retool database, but it's better right now. And you can try NoCodeDB. It's self-hosted Airtable version. Yeah. Yeah, thank you for the comment. And yeah, let's move on to the next slide.
All right. Next up is Zapier.
Yeah, Zapier. Yeah, I will continue with Zapier. And Zapier is automation tool. It helps to automate your tasks, your daily routine, and it helps to connect to different applications between each other. Yeah. So I will continue with demo. I will share my screen again. Yeah, and I will continue with the startup summer courses that I mentioned about when I described the Airtable. So as you see, the peer split all the tasks to the several steps. First of all, it tracks the form submission to Tally. Tally is the alternative to Google Forms. After submission, we create some records in Airtable. We create a cart in Trello, and finally we send a message to Slack. Yeah, let me show it in action. 1 second. I will. So here's the Tally interface. It's a simple form which is created with Tally. I just put name and select some of the options. Yeah. I send Tally form. After that, the new record in a table should be created. Let's check. Oh my. So as usual, something went wrong. The new record was not created, but it should.
It might be just related to the limits on your Zapier task, but that's what often happens.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. Yes, sorry. Yeah, let's keep it and yeah, move on to the Zapier alternatives. Yeah.
Yeah, but on Zapier, I think just few words to add. So it's really been popular tool which we're using for money automation. So if you need to send, I don't know, ad hoc email, or if you need to connect few tools together, so Zapier is out there for a really long time, and instead of writing little piece of code, so you might just consider expose like some sort of important events in the life cycle of your product, and then use Zapier to kind of send that hook email, or like Artem said, even implement the whole workflow, which can consist multiple steps. So like someone submits a form, you send this data to the Airtable database, and then you kind of take data and take that somewhere else down the pipeline. So if you never use it, give it a try.
Yeah, it's quite easy tool, yeah, to understand. Yeah, and Zapier has a ton of alternatives, but I highlighted three ones. The first one is Make, formerly in Tegromant. Yeah, it's similar to Zapier, but it can be cheaper for you. Yeah. N8N.io, I selected this one because it's self-hosted open source solution. You can host all the automation tasks on your server. And Retool Workflows is newcomer. It's in beta right now. It's not code solution, it's low code solution, but you can automate all your workflows in Retool, connect all your data sources, all Postgres database, and split all the jobs, split job to the several tasks. Yeah. That's it.
All right, we'll move on to the next tool then, which is Supabase.
I think Samuel has asked how it's going, so it's going good.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks, Samuel. So if you have any questions, so feel free to send, but we will also have a QA question at the end of the session, right, where we'll be able to answer the questions. And also, if you have your ideas, so feel free, and you want us to kind of think about what tools would be best to build your idea, like side idea, small project, or big project, to solve some tasks. So feel free to share that in the comments. So we'll be glad to talk about it. So Supabase. Supabase is one of my favorite tools of this year. So the biggest reason for this is that we managed to save about 30% of time to build like full product using Supabase. So typically over the years, so our average launch time at Paralect was around 3 months. And with Supabase, we managed to launch the product named ListedKit. So it's listedkit.com, I believe, in just 7 weeks. So Supabase is like like database. If someone like built mobile apps, and he might be familiar with Firebase, so Supabase is alternative to the Firebase, and allow. So it's not even exactly the low code, so we call it low code, but I would say it's little code, because you need to be a developer to use like 80% of Supabase functionality. So it's like database which you could edit with like simple UI. And from development perspective, Supabase comes with built-in functions like authentication, so you no need to build that. So it comes with built-in kind of storage solution, so which also makes like uploading avatars or other functions simple. Anything you need to do with files, you can do with Supabase. But the biggest advantage and the biggest kind of time saving ability of Supabase is ability to work with an API directly from a client side. And in many cases, you no need even to write that API. So you could just talk directly to the Supabase from the client side. So essentially, we eliminate a need to build API for many functions. So there are some places where you have to build API, like let's say if you're accepting Stripe payments, you need to get like the secure token from your API so users can make a payment. But to build features, you could just focus on your front end and use Supabase to build features solely on the front end side. So which is really exciting, and that's very powerful, especially when it comes to building startups, because in startups you often build some things and you publish it to users, and then you later realize, okay, so these things didn't work, so and you want to make adjustments. And with Supabase, you no need to rebuild API, so you just rebuild front end. So I know that team we have, I think we have 2 teams using Supabase to build their products. So and the feedback and the speed they can build features for like few startups we built with Supabase is really outstanding. So you could give it a try. Yeah. So, and for alternatives, I used a lot Firebase before. So it's database powered by Google. So the key difference I'd say is that Firebase is like Firebase is NoSQL database, and Supabase, why I also have more trust into the database. So it's built on top of PostgreSQL, so it essentially has relational database underneath, and it uses some very famous, I'm not going to go into details, open source tools to power the real-time layer. So with Supabase, you could get updates in real time, just like in Firebase, and a bunch of kind of other more developer things. But to sum it all up, so with Supabase, you could save like up to 30% to not build API and just focus on front end and build something that your users want. Artyom, maybe you have a few words about Supabase. Do you want to add something?
No, nothing to add. Yeah, we can move on to the next slide.
We did have one question come in. I don't know if you want to save it till the end, but do you have any specific favorite low-code tools for mobile apps or ones that we've worked with to make mobile apps?
Okay, I can try to answer right now. Yeah.
Sure.
So I didn't test well. I have 2 tools in my checklist. And the first one is Flutterflow. Yeah, it's it has a Flutter under the hood, but you can create a lot of you can provide a mobile experience without code. But if you add additional behavior, you can write it on Flutter. And one more tool, it's Retool mobile. I didn't test it too. Yeah, it's in beta right now, but I love Retool products a lot, and I think it's great to give a chance to this technology. That's it.
Awesome.
Yeah, and one thing to add to that question. So we are going to come back to that question partially, because we actually have one example of the project we built this year, one of the best examples of mobile project we built this year. So we'll be speaking a little bit more at the end of the session when we speak about the projects.
All right. we did have one more question in, and it's related to Supabase. So how do we work with rules in Postgres in Supabase? From Ali. Thanks, Ali, for the question.
Thank you, Ali. So, well, I didn't use much of that of rules, but I do know that you can configure like security on the database level right in Supabase. So I don't have exact answer to this question, but I know you can use pretty much all Postgres capabilities and manage security on top of Postgres in Supabase.
Awesome. All right. Yeah, feel free to keep sending us in questions, and we'll get them answered as we move through the show. So next tool up on the list is Retool.
Yeah, I will say some words about Retool. Retool is a great tool to build internal tools in your organization. You don't need the main benefit of Retool. You don't need to create UI components for your admin panels from the scratch. You just need to you just you just can drag and drop all the components to the your dashboard and connect all the necessary data sources. Yeah, I have one more demo, and yeah, Paralect created a lot of Retool dashboards. Yeah, and I will show one of them. Let me share my screen again. So I will show you the API blacklist. Here's the table that store that represents all the APIs that added to blacklist and emails. Yeah, how it was implemented. Yeah, as I said before, all the components was created just by using drag and drop, and after that was connected to the MongoDB and some of the REST API endpoints. Yeah, that's it. That's it related to the demo. And yeah, one additional words about alternatives. Yeah, Retool has a lot of alternatives to build UI, to build internal tools. For example, UI Bakery, Bodybase, and AppSmiths. All of them are very similar. Yeah. And one more note, Retool is a low-code tool. You need to write additional code to manage all the components behavior. You just have a set of UI components, but you need to provide the behavior to them. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So I think I also have few words to add about Retool. This year, Retool kind of became de facto standard for like most of the new Paralect projects as an admin panel. So before Retool, what happened? So like pretty much every startup needs a simple admin panel which, for example, going to show list of your users, right? Which going to provide capabilities like Artem showed to block IP or blocked email, or for example, extend trial and a lot of other things. And traditionally, we used to build this kind of custom UI for admin panel. So, and these admin panels usually doesn't look good because developers build them and like product team doesn't pay attention, so they just need a function. So that's one. And two, whenever you build something, you got to support this. And here Retool comes very nicely. So it's my second favorite tool like of this year. is that you could just drop UI, and Retool comes with pre-built UI for searching your users and companies within. You just connect to the database, and they have UI to search your users to the database by ID, email, or like any other attributes. And then you could see information about the user, and then you could easily add operations on top of user, like extend trial and things like that. So, and that could be built in just matter of hours. So we have Retool templated at Paralect, so it's shared on chip, I guess. So you could use this to get started. So I think Artem built, it's really great template. So we use it for many projects. And Retool, before Retool, we used to, I don't know, spend at least 40 hours when we built some product. We used to book at least 40 hours to build admin panel. So this year, instead of 40 hours, we built 2 hours. And when you think about if you build custom solution, custom admin panel, you also need to add up support cost you'll have in the long run. And if you need new little function, so you also need to write the custom code, which often takes much more time. And with Retool, so it's really quick to build these new admin functions. And we've seen on some of the bigger projects, Retool also works really great among different departments, like in between support department, in between sales, in between marketing, in between product. So they can use they can use Retool to build things. For example, on Copysmith, we use Retool to update feature flags. So feature flags are created by engineers, added to the database, and then we use Retool as UI to turn on or turn off feature, which was used by like QA team, and also was used by product team to enable some feature on production. So really great. And like Artem said, so this is also advantage for me. So you really need to write very little piece of the code. So many times you no need even write, but if you need to, so you can easily do this. So they like pretty much every action has a like some sort of callback field where you can write actual code and perform some real coding stuff if you'd like to. But time on support and building is greatly reduced. For admin panels, I'd say it's like 90% less time if you use Retool.
Fantastic. All right. So Retool was our last tool. We're going to move on to 2 examples of products and projects we worked on that have no-code tools involved in their building and launch. So the first up is CoinFlex.
Yeah, CoinFlex. CoinFlex, it's a Web3 short series app for creators. It's like a TikTok, but which uses Web3 standards. Yeah, the stack of this project was React Native and Airtable. So React Native is not low code, but Airtable is no code solution, which was very helpful. But yeah, let me share my screen to show how does application look like. Yeah, I will show only the article. Yeah, I will show only the article in Notion because right now I don't have a application. Yeah, it's as I said, it looks like TikTok. Yeah, you can swipe and see the videos. Yeah, and this application was implemented in 1 week. Yeah, and of course it was Airtable play here a great part. Yeah, let me explain why. Airtable was used as primary database, so all data related to the 2 videos stored in Airtable. Yeah. And this data can be managed right in the browser. So we don't need to create a special admin panel to manage this data. Yeah. this is the this is the main key points of using Airtable in context. Maybe Andrew, you have something to add?
Yeah, sure. So I think conflicts was really very interesting project for us this year, and this is also I'm getting back to Fabio's question about low-code tools for mobile apps. So I'll move a little bit back. So to build mobile application, normally what you need to do, you need to create a database and you need to create an API, and then you need to write mobile app itself that talks to the API and basically consumes the data. And with low-code tools and like no-code tool like Airtable, the Airtable did three things. So first, it was database. Then it was also API for the data. So you no need to build API when you use Airtable. So you could just connect directly to Airtable. And third, as Artem pointed out, it was also an admin panel for the back office of the application to add some data, to actually add new videos which appeared on the screens of users who use the app. So, and what excites me most is that like low-code and no-code tools enables founders and just anyone on the world to build really creative applications very fast. So this founder was very specific, so we like him a lot. So he used Airtable, well, we used Airtable to build a mobile app, TikTok-like mobile app in 1 week. So he posted this application on test flight, and he pivoted on Product Hunt with just test flight version of an app. He received a lot of positive feedback and later raised the funds. So you can imagine that he only invested into 1 week prototype to raise funds. And this is not the end of the story. So after this, after he raised funds, he discovered that his initial idea not quite what he wants to build, and he had to kind of rebuild a lot of things and throw away what we built initially. And now you can imagine if you started from creating database, building API, and then building front end, you would spend 2 months to build this app. It's a very similar app, and he used the quite opposite approach. Just okay, let's build something and let's give that something in the hands of user and see what they think. So he received the feedback and moved into other direction without spending much money and without having big budgets on tools to power databases, API, hosting, DevOps, and a lot of kind of development stuff, which you, I believe, which you eventually need with any project, but maybe not quite in the beginning when you start your business. You want to launch some experiments and start your like own idea. So yeah, so that's getting back to the question we had on the third slide about low-code tools for building mobile apps. So Fabio, I would recommend to give a try to Airtable as a database that powers your mobile application. So you could actually feed some data into that into Airtable right away yourself without a need to use complex tools like database and APIs.
Right.
Yeah.
We had another question come in about CoinFlix. Was the app shown in Storybook or something like that? So how did they actually show the prototype, I guess is the question from Ali. Thank you, Ali.
Thank you, Ali. Okay, so Storybook is a tool for development documentation, as far as I recall, right?
No. It was a question related to the.
Oh, perhaps maybe.
Yeah. The application was showed in Notion. Yeah, it's an article in Notion related to the application. It's just an.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just an image. It's just a demo of application. Yeah.
Yeah, but in fact, it was actual mobile application. We just don't have don't have decided to not to show you the mobile application, but show you an image of mobile application. But it was actual mobile application, which users of Product Hunt were able to access through test flight link. So the test flight is application you use to test mobile applications on iOS.
Right. All right. Anything else to add about conflicts before we move on to the next product?
Just try to not spend too much time on building your initial idea. Build it faster. Use Airtable.
All right. Next up, we have Novella. So what can we tell us about Novella?
Yeah, Novella, it's a project that is related to wedding. Novella helps people to organize their weddings. You just follow simple onboarding, and after that, application match you with the professional in industry, in wedding industry. So we implemented this project with several tools like Webflow, MemberStack, Zapier, and Airtable. We used Webflow for landing page, and we used Webflow for the front-end side, for client side. We used MemberStack for sign in and sign up purposes. Zapier was used to automate some of the tasks, to push all the data to Airtable, and Airtable was chosen as database. Yeah, but yeah, during the implementation process, we faced several issues. Yeah, for example, the main issue that is related to Webflow is is that only one designer can change the website design. So two designers can change design simultaneously. That's why we found only one workaround is so we created a special time frames in our development process, and designers worked one by one. Yeah. The next one is the next problem is that Webflow doesn't have version control. Yeah, it was very hard to roll back to the previous version of application. And the third issue that we faced is the peer prices. So in Zapier, you price for each step. It calculates each step. So, and when your Zapier pipeline have a lot of steps, you will spend all your free steps very fast. Yeah, that's why maybe it's better to look to the alternatives, Zapier alternatives like Make or something similar. Yes, this is the main issues, but we found, yeah, as I said, several workarounds and solutions, and we delivered Novella. If I'm not wrong, we developed it in 1 month. Yeah, we created an MVP, and which includes onboarding steps and yeah, and matching algorithms. Yeah, that's it.
All right, and I do have a quick demo just to show what you've described here. So on the Novella site, you can see that I'm in the wedding planner sort of questionnaire that they have. So I've entered my info. Let's say I'm from Kansas and Arkansas City. I'm going to get married. I got engaged, yeah, March 2022. You can choose the year here if it was some other year. And we can move on to assume I have family in Charlottesville, so I want to get married there so they can all come to the wedding. We have a bunch of ways to select the date. All right. Or you can select, okay, next summer, I'm going to get married there. Super. We're going to have 150 people. I'm going to spend $100,000. And then they match you up with the sort of setting that you'd like to have your wedding in. So I'm a history guy. Let's go with the historical estate. And so on and so on. And they also start to match you with service providers. So photography, food, tents and rentals, et cetera, et cetera. It's a really long process, but anybody who's planned a wedding knows that it's not as simple as just selecting drop downs on a website. So this is a simple sort of thing that we've built for them. Andrew, do you want to share anything else about Novella?
Yeah, sure. So, like, first of all, like you selected good budget for a wedding, so it's 100K was really good budget. So, like two things here. So one, like it, and it's a good news for like engineers, so for people like me and Artem and others who actually write the code. Is it we still like businesses still need us to write a lot of custom code, but no code and low code solutions could be kind of used side by side to improve some parts of the processes. I know that on Novella at some point, because that MVP was a bit complex for the tool we choose, so we struggled to just build the everything on like low and no code tools, and we actually had to integrate some code in a fun way. So I'm not going to explain how, but we spent some time to find this way, which was okay. So I think like no code, when you use no code, you should think about your application if it's kind of simple enough, or try to be more simple with kind of things you built with kind of no code tools like Airtable. So I'd say in like 20% of situations you could use no code tools to build some features permanently, and then 80% of time, so you use no code to kind of validate things and then maybe replace or add some code. So there is still a lot of things you would need to custom build. Yeah. So.
All right, we did have one question come in from Valeria. She asked about founders are often looking for Bubble specialists. I'm not sure if you guys worked a lot with Bubble or not, but I've heard a lot of people talking about it. Have you worked with it, and what is it good for? What is it better than, in your opinion?
Yeah, okay. Maybe I will try to answer. So I tried Bubble only on the internal projects, not on production projects. And yeah, my opinion is this tool has a lot of it's an overhead for some projects, and I will try to explain why. So in Paralect, there are a lot of developers who can write code, and there are a lot of designers. Yeah, and that's why we are trying to add some of the no-code tools incrementally. So we can still write code in some areas and applications, but we can granularly add some no-code tools that solve only one problem. For example, Retool for admin panels. It's great tool. Yeah. And regarding the designs, I found that it's really hard to add the custom components to Bubble, to export them to Bubble, and it's hard to work with layout in Bubble, to manage to manage styles and more. Yeah, this is the main problem that I found in Bubble. Yeah, and moreover, Bubble, you can manage deployment. Oh, no. Right now you can manage the deployment in Bubble, but you don't have access to code uh, that Bubble generated. Yeah, I, I suppose it's a problem because it will be really hard to migrate to the it will be really hard to scale when your project grows. Yeah. Yeah, that's it from my side.
I also have a few things to add. So in fact, we often advise to people who come to Paralect and ask, okay, I need to build X, Y, Z, and I'm looking to build custom solution. We often advise to not build. If we see, because it's hard to assess how much it would cost to build something, and with software, you always not always can predict how much that maintenance would cost. And if we see that founders just have an idea which might be great, but he don't have like a lot of funds, so we often advise either like use some no-code tools or low-code tools we could use, or just tools he could use himself to build the product. And in fact, we had one founder who, after speaking with us, decided to take a course on Babel and went build application using Babel. And that was great because the reason is that he will learn much more about his idea. He might build something. He will try to maybe raise some funds and find at least few users out of Babel. But like Artem pointed out, often you would need to throw away your Babel prototype or Babel application as things get serious. And that's probably the reason why we also see we didn't include this for sake of simplicity, but Artem also and his team did research on Plasmic, which is a tool that allows you to kind of visually, like in people who are familiar with Figma, build tools visually and then export them as a code. So it's kind of a little bit different angle to see the kind of no code, because like from my experience, you start with no code, but once you kind of get serious, you might switch to something better. But for some projects like the one we have like many site built on SuperSaw. So I think they would just remain on SuperSaw, like simple landing sites where we post our ideas. So they might be on SuperSaw forever. So yeah.
All right. Yeah, and there's a whole ecosystem now dedicated to Notion related sites and Notion tools. So that's could be its own whole show, probably the Notion ecosystem as it continues to grow. And today you shared with us the news that they have integrated an AI writer into their Notion toolkit, or it's going to launch it as an alpha or beta soon. So it'd be very interesting to see where that goes.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess my question for you guys is: you're both coming to no code from a developer's background, so you're very comfortable with tools that require you to sort of already have that understanding of the logic, or if there are tools that are low code, you're able to supplement that. If someone doesn't have that background, is there somewhere maybe they should start with? Should they just start playing with Webflow, or even simpler than that?
Artem, what do you think?
Sorry, I missed. I just read a question from Ivan Drobush. Yeah, missed your question.
I can pick it up.
Distracted.
So like Webflow is more for it's no code tool, but like the learning curve is quite high. So I would recommend it for designers. If you don't know Webflow is a tool which going to be there for some time, and they just make great change. For those who don't know, Babel is a good option. So you could learn Babel, you could learn Airtable. There are simple things like Teleforms, which is kind of a way to gather feedback similar to like Google Forms, but a bit more kind of friendly and nice. So
Super. All right. Well, we're almost out of time, but let's answer Ivan's question real quick before we sign off. So, are you going to build your own no-code tool that will perfectly fit your needs?
Yeah, I suppose it's a great opportunity, but yeah, it requires a lot of resources, development resources. Yeah, right now I suppose it's not possible to build no-code tools with no-code tools. Yeah,
I think
but
I think
yeah,
well, oh sorry, go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, Andrea, you can continue. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So just I think we have some sort of that tool. It's called Ship. So it's ship.prolect.com. So it's not no code exactly, but it's low code because it comes up with some pre-built functionality like Stripe payments, like referrals and other things. So as it comes to no code, I mentioned this in the middle of discussion. So Igor just announced on Twitter that he's building a no code tool which is going to allow you to launch a landing site in just 1 minute. So that's the promise. So you may we will leave a links to the Igor's Twitter and to other things we've mentioned on this discussion somewhere on the LinkedIn and other places. So you can just go and follow and see what we built. Thank you so much.
Yep. All right. So that's about all the time we have for today. Thank you guys so much for sharing your experiences with these tools. I hope the audience that catches this finds a lot of value and gets some of their questions answered. If you have a product idea that you'd like to bring to life, obviously we would love to help you with that. And we would love to do it with some of these tools to save you some time and get it to the market faster so that you can test your idea and get it in the hands of users. If you're interested in that, please feel free to reach out to us at Paralect on any of the social channels, or Andrew or myself or Artyom, wherever you see us on the social web. All right, guys, thanks so much for your time and see you all next time.
Thank you, John.
Thank you a
Thank you,
lot.
everyone. See
Have a
you.
good evening. Bye.
Ciao.